seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain.
Are you tired of burning through your money on high-end makeup, thinking that's the only way to achieve a flawless look? Well, think again. Today I'm going to show you how to create a stunning full-face look using only affordable drugstore makeup. No need to splurge because looking fabulous doesn't have to break the bank. Let's get started. First up, we're using primer, both of which are from e.l.f. Today. We're using the Liquid Putty Primer and the Halo Glow Liquid Filter. And this is going to be concentrated anywhere that I want to hide my pores. Specifically the nose, the cheeks, the forehead, right around my brows. For some reason that area always has some pores. Honestly, I would totally be comfortable starting my day with my skin just like this. The pores are filled, everything's a little bit blurred, a little bit smoother. Kinda love that. Now for some glow, the liquid filter. And there we have it, best of both worlds. One product smooths and blurs, the other adds some shine and hydration. So my skin now has the perfect base for foundation. For foundation today, we've got the Juvia's Place I Am Magic Natural Radiance Foundation. I totally forgot how much coverage this has, and it smells so good, just like watermelon. And for anyone that's new to my channel, we love a double blend over here, once with the brush, once with the sponge. It just helps everything melt in a little bit nicer, blend in a little bit better. If you do have any brush strokes that happened accidentally, it helps blend those out so you don't have any problems with texture in the end. Honestly, this foundation blends into the skin so beautifully anyway that I think you could get away with just putting it on with your fingers, but I'm not that brave. Now this is the point where we might drift apart on the way we do our makeup. I'm gonna go in with all of my cream products and then set all of those products with powder products, but that's totally not necessary if you don't want to. You can stick with just the cream products and set your makeup, or you can set your makeup and just use powder products instead. I like both because the makeup stays on longer and the colors are a little richer, but again, that's just preference. So do whatever you want, okay? Next, I've got to get rid of the darkness under my eyes, so for that, we're going in with the e.l.f. Putty Color Correcting Eye Brightener. I tend to just take some onto my finger and lightly dab it under the eyes. It doesn't take much and it cancels out darkness so beautifully. Next, for concealer, I'm using the NYX Bare With Me Concealer Serum. And again, I'm using my fingers and I'm just taking a tiny little bit on one finger, dabbing them together a bit, then right on the under eye. This is the point where I like to go in with a sponge and blend everything out, but instead of using just a fresh wet sponge, I take some more of the concealer on the back of my hand and then make sure that the part of the sponge that I place on my face already has some concealer on it so it doesn't just suck up all the concealer that's on my own skin. That way I can blend without losing any coverage at all. To begin adding some dimension to the skin, which is desperately needed, I'm using the e.l.f. Putty Bronzer. It will also sort of help the incorrect foundation shade I've got going on, which is always a plus. I do not have the patience to continue using the brush to apply, so we're just gonna go in with my finger and apply everywhere I want bronzer, then I'll blend it with the brush. For even more added dimension, I'm using the e.l.f. Halo Glow Beauty Wand. This is the contour. To add just a little bit of color to the skin, I'm using the Makeup Revolution Super Dewy Liquid Blushes.
a year ago.
Now to add even more dimension, but this time with the highlight, I'm going to use the Maybelline 4-in-1 Glow Perfector. I really enjoy using this like a highlighter, but instead of keeping it super concentrated on only the points that I like to highlight, I instead cover a higher surface area with it, so that way it starts to change the dimensions of my face instead of only highlighting small strips. Now we get to really take it there with the highlight using the ColourPop light sticks. Just to avoid disrupting any of the makeup I have on my face, I'm going to take this on the back of my hand first, get it nice and warmed up. Then I'll just take my finger right into that and dab it on the places that I want the shiniest shine on the face. Oh, look at that glow. Ooh. Cheekbones for days. To brighten and set the under eyes, I'm going in with the I Heart Revolution Scented Baking Powder in Coconut. Let's make sure first we blend out any little creases that have locked in place, then immediately go in with our powder. Oh, this powder smells so good. I also like to take a little bit of that powder on the forehead, but make sure I blend out any creasing. This is probably the spot I would call my problem area, because it does get very, very creasy throughout the day, just because I have a lot of different facial expressions, you know? I'm very emotive, especially once that Botox wears off. See, I just did it again. Right after I blended it out, I moved my forehead, just habitually. Blend it all out, keep your forehead super, super still, grab you some more powder, dab off the excess, and just gently press anywhere you've got any deep or fine lines and lock them into place without creases, or as minimally creased as possible. Sometimes you just can't avoid creasing, just not possible at times, but you can do things to help alleviate the intensity of the creasing. Perfect. Oh. It looks so smooth. Since I have relatively dry skin, there is no way I could use a loose powder all over my face to set it. So to set the rest of my face, I'm using the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Pressed Powder. And honestly, if I was like getting ready for work, this is probably where I would stop too. I would just spray some setting spray and be done, because everything's really soft, really natural, but I need more drama. So I'm gonna go in with all the same complexion products, but the powder versions instead. For the contour and the bronzer, I'm using the tried and true NYX contour palette. This was my very first contour palette. I still have it, I still cherish it. I don't use it as often as I should, but it's still an amazing complexion palette. Hello, jawline. My goodness. Next, for blush and highlighter, I'm using the Wet n Wild Hello Halo Blush Lighter. This one's in the shade I Met Someone. See, not only does this one give a little bit of color to the skin just by applying it, but it also has some luminosity, so it gives you a little bit of a glow at the same time, making your skin look even more natural. She is fierce. Ooh. Complexion is done. To melt all of these powders in, I'm now using the NYX Plump Finish Setting Spray. And I've got a lot of powder on the skin, so we're really gonna lock this in place. Oh! Now we get to move on to the eyes. Everything that I've used so far I already own, so I don't have to buy anything, but I did buy a new eyeshadow palette specifically for this. This is the CoverGirl Clean Color Eyeshadow Palette. This is in the style Cool Berry. I just felt like most of the drugstore palettes that I had probably weren't available anymore, so I figured it was a good idea to get something newer. And these little quads like this are perfect for that just quick, everyday kind of makeup vibe. Plus, we actually have some dimension in the palette. A lighter, creamier matte shade and a darker, more like espresso colored kind of shade. It's a little bit purpley, like mauve-y, but just barely looking. Then for eyeshadow base, this one was actually kind of hard to find at the drugstore. I went to CVS to get that palette and I was looking for an eyeshadow base while I was there and I literally couldn't find one. Do you guys know of a good drugstore eyeshadow base? I pulled this one out that I got from my full face of Temu makeup video. I'll leave that one linked up here if you want to see it. That entire bundle of makeup was $100. So this is definitely more on the drugstore affordable side, so that's what we're going to use for eyeshadow base today. Now this is probably one of the thickest bases I've ever used. Granted, that means it has a lot of coverage, but it also means it has a lot of texture. So we're just gonna use a little tiny bit and try to spread it as far as possible. Can you guys hear that storm outside? I don't know if you can because my mic is pointed directly at me, so perhaps you can't, but it is coming down out there. Sounds like the house is gonna get blown away. So if all of a sudden this video just randomly cuts off, you know why. It's because I lost power. Okay, watch this coverage. You see my little spot up there? What spot? That is how thick this eyeshadow base is. If you have a lot of discoloration, this would be amazing for you. Now we get to use some shadow. I'm gonna start with the lighter shade in this palette and just go ahead and use that as my transition shade all over the crease. Now for a little bit of depth, I'm going in with the darker shade and I'm going to use this really small brush to keep it a little more concentrated just on the lower part of the crease. You know, I think I may just keep this shade on the inner and outer corners and do more of like a spotlight eye too. Now that the base is built, we get to add some shimmer. I'm going to use the darker shimmer shade and go ahead and put that all over the lid in the center. I'm loving how dramatic that darker shade is. Now for the brows, I'm going to use the NYX The Brow Glue to structure them and give them hold. Then for color, I'm using the NYX Lift and Snatch Brow Pen. For a little bit of eyeliner in the waterline, we're going to use one of the best gel eyeliners I've ever used. This is the Wet n Wild Breakup Proof Eyeliner. Not only is it super rich and very, very black, but it stays on. Look at that level of pigment. It is so bold, it is so rich, it is so affordable, and we can't forget tight lining, though this is the oddest feeling I think I've ever felt. Even though it feels totally strange, it's so worth it. The way it encompasses the eye and makes everything a little more sharp, a little more flattering, a little more seductive. Love it. And finally, for the lips, I'm going in with the Juvia's Place Luxe Liner. This one's in the shade Cocoa Latte. Wow, Cocoa Latte looks kind of almost black on me. But now we need some color to put with it. And you guys, if you have not tried these L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte Liquid Lipsticks, you have got to give them a shot. Not only do they have insane lasting power, but they smell so good. Now the one I have is from their chocolate collection, or Les Chocolats. So they might not have these anymore, but I am pretty sure they still make the Infallible Pro Matte Liquid Lipsticks. They just might not smell quite as amazing as this one. Oh, it smells like a brownie that just came out of the oven. And there you have it, a full face of makeup using only affordable drugstore products. And if I do say so myself, it looks pretty flawless. It just goes to show you don't need to spend a fortune to look amazing. I mean, really, all of these products combined cost less than some luxury foundations. Anyway, guys, that's it from me for this video. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up just to let me know that you did. Also, if you like this look and you want to see more looks like them, you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and TikTok. My username is the same for everything. It's just Christopher JMUA. I love you guys so, so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.
Way back a year ago, I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago.